talking about a lot about the A's and their potential move to Las Vegas and kind of the ups and downs of that and how that's coincided with the product on the field. But it was broken yesterday by Howard Stutz of the Nevada Independent that the A's are now looking to they've left the binding agreement with Red Rocks, and now they're trying to build on the Tropicana site. We're joined by Howard now. Howard, thanks so much for carving out some time today, man.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. We've talked to so many people here from the Oakland side of things. We're really curious, from the Vegas side, is this as much of a mess as it looks like from here?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, look, I've been following this for 2 years. I cover the casino industry, gaming industry, and tourism, but I've, dabbled in sports business. So I've been following this for a couple of years, that the A's have been, looking at Las Vegas, and they've looked at 20 different sites, supposedly, narrowed it down to there were 3 or 4 in the resort corridor. They wanted to be on the resort corridor. The A's had an opportunity, if you're familiar with Las Vegas, in the Summerlin area, which is far west end of town, about, I would say, 10 miles from the Strip. The Howard Hughes Corporation offered them a plot of land up there for free. But they didn't want to be. They wanted to be in the resort corridor because they wanted to be able to attract more so the a visitor,
right.
The visitor base. So they've looked at these 4 sites. They settled on the 49-acre site at Tropicana and Dean Martin Drive. It's just basically west of Interstate 15, just across the freeway from, if you're familiar with MGM Grand and Park MGM, it's the T-Mobile Arena's right there. The Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play is about a mile north. So they wanted to be right there, and had the deal in place. And then all of a sudden decided to move it over to where the Tropicana Las Vegas is. And that was one of the sites they were considering. In fact, I would almost say about 9 months ago, that seemed to be the leading site. And we were trying to figure out how this was going to work, and nobody could really say. And now, lo and behold, everything's come up with that. And that is where they are, pretty much negotiating now with the state. And that's where the deal is what sources have told me.
Huh. So you mentioned that they initially had the plan for the 49 acres. And then in this new proposal, there's only 9. And I believe
right.
that part of the pitch for when they were in Oakland is they wanted to build a sort of community around the ballpark. How does that 9-acre space kind of affect what the build plan is now going to be?
Well, that changes it completely. They wanted to build. They had said, Dave Calvel and I had spoken. He said it was going to be, they're going to do the stadium, the 35,000 seat retractable roof stadium, and have the urban village around it, kind of like a restaurants, retail,
right.
Other attractions, similar to the Battery in Atlanta, is the way it was explained. That surrounds Truist Park down there where the Braves play. Now going over to the Tropicana. It's a 34-acre site, the entire Tropicana. The A's are going to get 9 acres of that. The urban village is not part of the deal. But what's really changed is the fact that Bally's Corporation, which is a regional casino company that operates the Tropicana, they're going to demolish the property. They just bought it a year ago. It's an old Rat Pack area hotel casino. I mean, it looks nice from the outside, but it's old. Mm-hmm. And so to remodel it, it's easier to just demolish it and start over. So the A's, they will probably do that, to give the A's a 34-acre, basically the slot of land to build their site at their stadium on about 9 acres. And eventually Bally will come back and build another hotel casino. It won't be attached to the stadium, but it'll be nearby. So there's a lot that can be done, I guess, within that acreage at some point. But for right now, they've taken the urban village off the table and are just focused on the 9 acres where they'll put the stadium.
Talking with Howard Stutz of the Nevada Independent. Howard, there's a discussion here about a financing package that would need to go to the state legislature, but there's less than a month left in the legislative session. Is there a chance that the A's are able to hammer this out and get this in front of the legislature before that session is over?
That's our understanding. What happened was the original package that they were talking about with the site on with Red Rock Resort owned, the 49-acre site. It had about a $500 million asking price for public money, so some type of tax. Basically, what they were going to do is it was a kind of almost like a user tax. Any tax associated with the money spent at the stadium or within that urban village on the next to it, all that tax money would go to pay off the $500 million in bonds. There was, now I'm not an economist, I'm not a mathematician. There was just, the understanding was that there was a problem of trying to get to that $500 million with that tax package. So now they're also going over to the Tropicana. They also don't have to pay for any land purchase, buy any land for it. The site, Tropicana site, is actually owned by a real estate investment trust that leases the site to Bally's Corporation. Bally's is basically going to give the A's 9 acres to build on. They pay this real estate investment trust about $10.5 million a year for lease agreement. Bally's a big company; they can handle it. I'm sure there'll be some deals worked out there. But what it's done is it's reduced the tax package from $500 million down to $395 million. So that seems a little more palatable to the legislature. They're working on the bill. The idea we've heard. Yesterday we heard 48 hours that it could be the bill drafted in front of the legislature. So we're starting to look at probably next week. There's a chance for some hearings. They can get it done. I mean, the legislature doesn't end until I think June 6th, so they can get it done. They'll have. I mean, I've seen things done about 10 years ago. Nevada legalized online poker, and that legislation was done in a day. It went through a committee, a vote, and then signed by the governor. So we could see that over a couple of days being done here with the baseball stadium.
Interesting. I'm seeing, and I've heard that the hope is that with the new ballpark, the A's are hoping that it'll be somewhere near like 70% locals and 30% visitors from Vegas, just kind of tourists. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's that local interest there to fill the stadium every night?
Time will tell. I mean, one of the things I've said is that the A's, so the stadium happens and they're going to have to play in Vegas for about 2 years in our AAA ballpark where the Las Vegas Aviators play. That's the A's AAA farm team. That's about 12. They could probably get about 12,000 seats in there, and that's what they'll do for 2 years. But it gives them a couple of years to build up a fan base and hopefully better players and not be looking at a 40 and 122 win 40 win season. I mean they have to build up their, and that's what we think will happen. They'll try to build up their fan base and go from there. We'll see. I mean. Mm-hmm. What everybody's spoiled about is we got the first professional team here was the Vegas Golden Knights. Right. Expansion team came into an arena on the Strip. MGM Resorts built the arena themselves and asked for public money. Expansion team, we figured they were going to stink and sell everybody off, and midway through the season and just build, young picks, and let alone they go to the Stanley Cup Finals. So Vegas got spoiled on that. The Raiders haven't been, let's just say they made the playoffs, lost one game, and it wasn't even in Vegas. So, and when you go to a Raiders game, probably half the crowd is visitors. Right. And then of course a lot of them are Raiders fans from Northern California and Southern California that have made the trek to go see, still staying loyal to the Raiders. So, time will tell. I mean, it's going to be a challenge. Baseball is not easy. I mean, you'll get a lot of folks, come out when I'm from Southern California, I'm a Dodgers fan. Sorry, but I'd go to see the Dodgers play, and I'm sure there'd be a following of the Yankees come or the Cubs or that type of thing. So I think there'll be people that'll come. It's going to be some work for them to do to build this fan base, but it looks like they may have time to do it.
Howard Stutz, Nevada Independent. Really appreciate you. Let's get you out of here on this. Is this close to done? Is this obviously not signed, sealed, delivered, done deal? But what's kind of the percentage chances that the A's find a home here in Vegas?
I still say it's 50-50. I'm waiting. I want to see the bill. I think we all want to see, all of us that are coming here, we want to see the bill first and get that led. Right. Once the legislation comes through, They've gotten support from some unions, the building trades. They have a project labor agreement signed with the building trades. They have support from all the different chambers of commerce here in Southern Nevada. So I think those type of things they're working on, to help make it palatable for like the legislators and the governor. And I think I still think it's 50-50 until we just see the bill. That's if there's no other hiccups as this thing, in the next day or two, as long as, if that happens, I think it'll happen. But if it drags out, they don't want to go to a special session. I can tell you that the legislators don't. I don't think the governor wants to call a special session. So that's where the challenge is.
Howard, you have been terrific. Thank you so much. We'll continue following you at the Nevada Independent and keeping track of this story as it churns on. Thanks for your time, man.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Man, that's it. After all this, still sitting at 50-50.
50-50 is great. I mean, that's great to hear if you're an Oakland fan, right? I mean,
I guess
with the way that things are trending, it feels like it's more so going to happen.
I wasn't expecting to say like, yeah, it's 95-5. Right. Or what was the first and goal at the one?
Yes,
was that the famous?
Yes, first and goal at the
Kings?
one is what Woj said about the Kings.
That's kind of what I was expecting, or I was not necessarily expecting to hear that, but I was expecting 80-20, 70-30. Like
things are trending,
right? But yeah, the fact is still 50-50.
Coin toss.
Yeah, right. And playing 2 years at the Aviator Stadium.
Oof.
That sounds like a
yikes.
That also was like we think that's what they're going to do. Like that's the most logical thing, but
it's not close to the Strip, by the way.
Really?
Very far away.
It is like,
is it really?
Far. We took a taxi thinking that we were going to we'll taxi out
that's
there.
fine. Yeah.
Past the stratosphere.
That's that is an expensive taxi, bro. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
Well, they also would have to expand quite a bit on that as well. Like that's not like an easy fix. Bringing in, what do you say? I think 15,000 stands or something like that. Like that's
it's
a lot.
A lot of work to do.
It's a lot.
A lot of work to do.